Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Robin Carter with Robin's Creations. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator out of Flower Mound, Texas, and today I am here to share my first set of alternative cards using the August 2025 paper pumpkin kit named Farmhouse Florals. If you missed my unboxing of this kit, you just click on my YouTube channel and it'll be the one right before this one. And since this is my first alternative for now, I will link at the end of this video to the unboxing. After I get my second one, I'll change that so it goes on to the second one. But anyway, today I'm here to share my first set. I didn't mention until the end of my unboxing that I did reach 5,000 YouTube subscribers. So I want to give a special thank you to each and every one of you for helping me reach that goal of 5,000 YouTube subscribers. So if you are new to my channel, I hope you find some inspiration you like and would consider subscribing to my YouTube channel to help me reach my next 100 goal of 5,100. So I try to set them small so they're achievable. But you know what? If I could get to 7,500 by the end of this year, that would be amazing. So also I do want to correct myself with the sale items. So it is for item the in colors of 2025 through 2027. Someone pointed out that I think I said 2015 to 2017. I guess I was making myself 10 years younger. But anyway, I hope you guys understood that anything that has a new in color from the 2025 through 2027, excuse me, I have a hair here, is 15% off. That's cardstock, inks, even some DSP that may have those colors in those. So to find those, you'll go to my online store and then you click on shop, and then under specials there will be the in color special sale. So I hope you guys grab up those goodies while you can, because they're going to be around for 2 years. All right, let's switch the hands down so we can get started today. And I hope my video lighting seems off. I don't know if it will be after I finish publishing this or send it on to save, but it's all a little bright, but hopefully it's okay. So going on now is the subscription period for the September Fall for Twall. Okay. I have a hard time pronouncing that, and someone, whoever you were that told me TWALL, thank you, but it's Fall for Twall. I guess that kind of rhymes. And anyway, that subscription period is going on now until September 10th. Now this is going to coordinate with a new suite that's coming out in the mini called Autumn Twall Suite. So I think I'm going to grab a few of those items. Maybe next week I can pre-order them and we'll have those ready to go. But I also want to point out the add-on dies. So I did see on the Paper Pumpkin demonstrator information that they are running low of this. So if you didn't grab up these dies yet, they're called Circle of Seasons add-on dies. You do have to be a Paper Pumpkin subscriber to order these. The item number is 167277, and as you can see here, they are quite a value. Now I like to take a photocopy of my dies so that I know well, one, kind of how to set them in here, and one, if one goes missing, which one I'm missing, and can go put it in the correct envelope. So it is a set of 9 dies, so it's quite a value for $12. Okay, so and I am going to use the flower for this kit as well. So like I said, this is the Farmhouse Floral Suite, and this is how the cards were designed. And today I just thought I'd start on the left and work with this card base right here. So let me put this away. Now when I say something is my favorite things, it's things that Stampin' Up! Does not sell that I find very helpful in creating and organizing my craft room. So there is a link in the description of this video and many others to my Amazon storefront where I purchase all of these, and there's also individual links. So if you have any questions, let me know. I do get a few pennies back at no cost to you for recommending these products. So if you have used my links in the past or plan to use them, thank you so much for helping support me All right, like I said, we were going to start with that card base. So, like I always do, I put mine on a thick white card base, and I don't have one ready. These big envelopes are great for also storing my pre-cut and scored card bases. That one was a fun fold that I did. That's why it doesn't fit in there. But we need a thick white card base, and like I said, these are already cut and scored. And I do like to use my bone folder here to get a nice crisp line. And this is the Stampin' Up! One. It's nice and heavy. From long ago, I had this other one that was cheap plastic, and you can see it gave way over the years. I like to show that the one I've had from Stampin' Up! It's quite sturdy. This one is very lightweight and plastic, and it did damage, whereas this one is staying nice and undamaged. So that isn't a nice value for not a lot. It's not a very expensive item, I guess I should say. Okay, so what I did is I took the card base. Let me go ahead and get one out because I've already done some cutting to help this video not take so long. I'm getting out, here it is. Okay, so I took this card base and I took it over to my trimmer and I cut here at 4 1/8. And then I took another 1/8 inch off this side. So my final piece is 4. And then I cut that off to 5 1/4. And you can kind of see that here. Like I said, I've done some pre stuff. So that's what I did here to get an equal border on each side-ish. Okay, and then we're going to mat this, so that's why I do 4 1/4 by 5 1/4. So I wanted to give this card some more pop, right, rather than just flat. So I do have the simple or the subtle 3D embossing folder, and I so wish Stampin' Up! Would bring that back. It's a very popular one, but this is an optional step. Maybe you have, I think it was called Tasteful Textile, just something with a real subtle type of embossing would look great with this, but I did use my subtle. And then I used one of my favorite die sets, the textured notes. Now I did buy 2 of these because this is not, I couldn't find one of my magnets, but this is an extra one that I've been using. And I used the second largest die for that to cut out the center of this card front. So it gives it a beautiful texture there along the side. And I don't know why my computer screen is showing it very washed out white. So I hope it's not that way. I hope it's just my computer showing it that way and it's not recording that way. So anyway, I'm going to put this away, and then I'm also going to share a card using this hat. So stay tuned to see how you can use your full card base. All right, so let's start by putting this on. Oh, nope, I want to do a layer. So this layer, I thought I would use Lost Lagoon to kind of match with this tabletop thing. I have done another one in another color, which I'll show you when we're done with this. Now I trimmed this just like 2 millimeters off each side of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I did want a little bit of yellow, not yellow, white to show of my card base, but I wanted to give also a lot of Lost Lagoon to show on that. So that's why it's just barely any white. So let's glue this to our card base. I love to use Tombow multi-purpose liquid glue because it gives me wiggle room to get it in the center of my card. I know I say that every time, but I have to say in case there's ever a new subscriber so they know what I'm doing. Or not. I already subscribed you. I mean a new viewer. Okay. So there we go. And then the hard part is putting this little thing on, especially if you've embossed it. It loses its it's not as stiff. Like you can bend it pretty easily because you've broken up the paper fibers. I am going to use my multi-purpose glue that's in one of my favorite things, this fine tip glue bottle. That way I don't get too much of a blob. And I am going to do my best to set it down right, excuse me, where it needs to go, so that I don't get a smear of glue. Looks like I did pretty good. There we go. Now I want to mat this piece also, so let me get out that Lost Lagoon layer. Okay, here it is right here. Now on my other dies, I did put a post-it note there so that every time I didn't have to remeasure. So the outside layer for this one I did at 4 7/8 by 3 3/8. Of course, if you wanted more Lost Lagoon to show, you could make that a little bigger, but I thought just a little bit would be good for that. So let's adhere this down. Let me go ahead and get a good bottle so I get a nice amount of glue on there so it doesn't come apart. And we're going to put this on the Lost Lagoon layer. Okay, had to make sure my sound's still working. I'm working on a video for how to use my Etsy cut files, and my mic kept going off on me and it drove me crazy. Okay, so now we're going to put this up with dimensionals. Now I have these are the ones from the kit, the mini ones, and I guess I can go ahead and use those. I generally just go with what I have already started, but these are on my desk and my little bucket is closed, so we'll just use these. It's also good to go ahead and use some to make sure they're not defective. I think a while ago they had some defective dimensionals and they did replace them, which was nice, but these seem to be working fine. I like to put, these are mini. If they're the large ones, I usually cut them in half, but I like to put some on down each side and then some in the middle so it doesn't collapse. And we'll just take these backings off. I already got that one. Okay, and then I usually just take my nail, and if it kind of sticks, I know I got them all off. So that's just something I do. All right, now I'm going to do my best to center this, and hopefully I don't get too much of my hair in the background. So you kind of want to center it up too with your flowers here that you cut off the side. So that is basic way, but you know, I thought it needed a little more. If you guys are new to my channel, know that I like to really dress up my cards. So I took the add-on dies, and like I said, I used that flower. Now there is a flower in our kit. It's very teeny, and I have had a time coming up with my I like to make cut files for myself, but anyway, I decided to go with these, and then I wanted a different flower for the yellow ones. Now the coordinating color says darling duckling, but I really didn't like that. I went with crushed curry instead, or maybe those are, anyway, that's still the darling duckling. It's a little tongue twister, and it is a retired thing, but this is from the let me see if I can come up with the name of it real quick. The Beauty Abounds, I believe, was the name of it. And what I liked about this was I could cut a whole bunch of flowers with one pass versus I was cranking these out. Now I did get 2 sets of these dies because I knew I would be making a lot of them. So let me round up some of those flowers that I have over here on the side of my desk. But any flowers would work. 5 is probably a good odd number, so we'll stick with those. Now I do like to put these on with my glue dots that we get in paper pumpkin kits. I don't think we got any this time, but we usually get plenty, so I'm going to stick with what we have. So I'm going to put a little glue dot on the back of that. We'll put it right over those. These are kind of tiny. I probably should have got some that are a little bigger. And let's do that one. And let's do this one. Now, if you're not a die cut person, you can stamp and fussy cut the stamps in this kit. Or even better was the flower from last month. And I thought I had one over here. It is. I really liked the flower from last month. It looked a whole lot like that one. Let's see if this fits that hole. So let's put 2 of these on. Okay, and these were cut in Calypso Coral. I don't think I said that. So that's a nice little, gives it some more. And you can then take the petals, probably should have done this before you put it down, and lift up some of the leaves to give it even more dimension. Okay, and then we need a sentiment. Now it took me all day yesterday, but I did finally get my cut file done and out. And I have it here on my Stamparatus. Excuse this side. I'll show you that in a second. But this side has all my stamps on there. Let me find my little, now this is my 3D binder, or not 3D, 3-ring binder piece that you can write on and erase, and I use that to set up all my negatives for being able to put in my cuts. And so these are those, and I'm looking for my labels. I have a whole box right here that I just went ahead and cut myself, but I thought I had pulled out the ones I wanted to use. So this is how I do those. I make my cut file. Now I do 2 sizes. That's why in some of these you'll see it double layered. I like the smaller layer, less white space, I guess is what I want to say, around my dies. Now when you get those in here, that's the same one. You'll get better at putting them in their right space. Here's one. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp. No, that is the same one. Okay, let me check my little 3-ring binder thing, because I thought I put those separately so that I would have those handy, and I did. Okay, now these are 3x5, and I find these are very helpful too. They come, I have the 3x5s, the 5x7s, and then of course the larger ones for my card bases and kits and such. So I just have to figure out which way this one went. And the easiest way is to look at these 2 little negative spaces, and then they slip right in there. I do love that we got the new Secrecy spot. So I hadn't made my own spot of that yet, and I love this color. I do have the full-size pad, but I really like to use the spots when I'm using my Stamparatus, and especially on small stamps like that. Okay, there we go. We have For a Great Friend and Always Here for You. So we'll use those on my 2 cards. You get my chamois. Let's just wipe that up. I had a dickens of a time working with this flower, but I finally got it. Look how small they are. They're teeny tiny. Okay. So let's get back to the card. So, I'm going to make this one For a Great Friend. Now I'm going to put the sentiment here. And when I do that, I like to put a small dimensional right where it hangs off to help support it. So I'm just going to stick it there. And then I put a little multi-purpose liquid glue on the left-hand side to hold it down there. So let's try to get that friend-ish straight. For a Great Friend. And then I will go in and add some bling to these flowers. But let me show you the finished one that already has the bling. And look what a difference that makes. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I thought it was cute to do some flowers down here like they had fallen on the ground. So let's add those since I have those flowers cut over here. And oh, I do have one more of these little yellow ones. And I don't have another yellow one, but I do have an orange, or I say orange. It's Calypso Coral. I shouldn't say orange. I should call it its correct name. Now this one may have to get kind of tucked in there, but that way it looks like some of them kind of fell off. So that's why I like to have one done. And you can see this one I used the Always Here For You. I thought that was a real cute, especially with that cut on there. And then For a Great Friend. So which one of these do you like better? Now when I do my cover screen for my YouTube, I'll go ahead and add blings to these. You can see it really makes a big difference. Let me hold these up a little closer so you can see those. Okay, I think I'm really liking this Lost Lagoon side. It's just one of my favorite colors, and that could be why. All right, so let's put these away. And let's get on to my second one. Now, like I said, we're going to use this piece, the opposite side that was blank. And I'm going to bring in my silicone mat. And you can see there's one of those teeny tiny flowers stuck to it. And I think I have some ink on there. So let me get my chamois again and wipe that off so I don't get any Calypso Coral on this card base. All right, so I'm going to teach you a new trick. It may not be new to you, but it may be to some. So I have Lost Lagoon, and if you've been a Paper Pumpkin subscriber for, I don't know, several months, you will have a spot of this. But no, you can always get the uninked ink spots and make any color you want with a refill. So you could even get your whole collection by just ordering the refills and these uninked ink spots. So I wanted to make a similar card like the other one. So I'm going to take my ink spot and go across it just like that. And I'm going to go a little higher just to make that higher. So now we have like a tabletop form. If you want to go in and try to get those spots you might have missed, you can. But isn't that neat? Just with our ink spots, you can make a nice, cute little background. Okay, and then we need the basket. So now these baskets were meant to layer on top of the other ones, but I thought I would just make myself a whole new card with them using that same basic look of the original cards. However, we need some flowers. Now I have several suggestions for you as far as paper pumpkin wise. If you have the Bouquet of Hope. Now this was back from February 2021. You could then hide the bow and just color all these flowers. A more recent option, and I'm not sure how well it would go, would be these meaningful flowers that stick up, and you could kind of just do a couple patches of those. And of course you can do the flowers that came in our kit. Now I really wish they would have left those an outline, right? So that you could stamp in green and color in your flowers. The best I've been able to do is, where's my, I did a stem. Well, anyway, I cut these little flowers so I could add them on top of the stamp. And I thought I had it somewhere to show. But that's quite tedious. But it's an option. So just know that. If it doesn't bother you too bad, maybe if you, I don't know how it would look over Lost Lagoon to stamp Calypso Coral right over that. But you can try that. But I wanted to bring in one of my favorite bundles they have right now is this mixed floral. And I noticed they had this sprig. Now, note that these are only shown at 75%. So that tells you that this is not the full size of those. And I have those on my Stamparatus. I did use the other side for my plate. And so we need to take this one off and bring that other one back in. Now this is like I do my die cuts the same way. I put the negative on this space. I set my stamp down first, stamp right on this 3-ring binder piece, and then I can line up the negative right around my stamp so that it is centered. So let me grab a couple of those just to show you how I make those. Now we're going to need 3 of these, but I have done some coloring, so you guys didn't have to sit there and watch me color. I may have to color one more leaf. So I get those in their negative space. And if it curls up like that, because sometimes when you get them out of your die, just kind of curl them back down so they stay good. I keep meaning to do just a video on this because I do have one that I did years ago, but it's improved now. You don't have to put it in the corner and all that good stuff. Now I found Secret C works really good for this and our markers. So let me just ink that up with Secret C. I probably should get my big one out for the leaf. It'll take me just a second to tap ink on there. And then make sure that's in the corner and then close. Give it a little press. And give the, now I will put a square piece of Secret C on there, much like I did my Lost Lagoon, so that I store these spots upside down so the ink stays on the top of the pad, but that way I can see what color it is while they're upside down. All right, and then sometimes, especially if they stick like that, I like that, and then I can make sure they were good and pressed. So there's the leaf. And here's the little flowers. Aren't those cute? All right, back to the, my little side table is pretty far away, so that's why I'm having to reach over it. I don't know if I cleaned those. I think I did. All right, so we can put that away. Now you would cut 3 of these, 3 of the flowers and 2 of the leaves. So let's bring those in. Like I said, I did do some pre-coloring. So you guys didn't have to sit there and see me color. Now I did those with the blends. You could use the marker. You just have to be real careful about streaking, or you can use the blender pen with your spot. And I have a glass mat that I would probably tap this on, but if you don't, you can use a block. I use the blocks from little kits, the thinner ones, or maybe even your first paper pumpkin block to blot ink, and then use the blender pen. So it's a, I don't know what kind of fluid is in it, but they come in a pack of 3. Now this is old packaging, but they come in a pack of 3. There's a newer one, and I tend to save a tip for each color family, like yellows, reds, blues, pinks. That way I'm not having to scribble off a whole lot and waste a lot of those nice juices that are in the markers or the blend pens. All right, so let's see. I already have another one colored. So let's bring in 2 of these. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in 3 of the flowers. Now, you tell me. I did a Calypso Coral, I did a Crushed Curry, and then I did another Calypso Coral. So I don't think if they were growing naturally that there would be different colors on the same branch. I don't know that. I'm not a flower expert, so I'm not for sure on that. But I'm going to go ahead and glue these right to the basket. I'm going to just get my double-sided big 3M that I've had this thing forever, and I have so much tape that I need to use it and not I can use my money to get more stamps and stuff. Okay, so let's put these around. Oh, and that one's not colored. Did I not color 3 of them? Oh, I did. It's just upside down. So there we go. And I'll save these for my next card. And then let's put some greenery back in there behind those. And they can be at different levels. That's fine. You just want to make sure it's going to fit on your card. Now, if you don't have another space, so what do you guys think about that basket? Now, of course, I want to put it up on with dimensionals. So let's grab a few of these. Now, if you want to, you could emboss this piece as well. I did not do that ahead of time. I might not stick these on there and go emboss it now that I think about it. I always love when I come up with things while I'm making these for you guys. I love to come up with even different things. Sometimes it's by mistake and sometimes it's on purpose, like this one. It's like, oh, I probably should put those on dimensionals. So I'm trying to make sure the leaves are also attached to the flowers. So there is that. Now I did the same thing with a Lost Lagoon layer. Okay. I think it does need embossing. What do you guys think? It's kind of awful flat. And I'm not a matte flat type of girl. You guys know I love embossing folders. I think I have just about every one, since probably I can't say everyone, but a lot of them, let's put it that way. Okay, I like how those flowers look there. And then of course we're going to put a always here for you here. Now I'm thinking it needs something there. I'm not going to glue this down yet. I am going to emboss it, and then there will be a picture on my YouTube title page. And also I post these on Paper Pumpkin fan page. So if you need to find me there, I usually post all my alternatives there as well. So check those out. All right, guys. So that does it for me today. I think I used all, let me look in my folder. Oh, well, I did this sentiment too. What do you guys think about this? I can push that up a little bit and there's not quite so much white space. And I used a little tassel of the linen thread that was in our kit. And it says, "Thank you for your constant friendship and listening ear." Okay, guys, so those are my two alternatives using one card base. I hope you like these. The best compliment you can give me is a thumbs up. Okay, share this with your other paper crafting friends. And if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, I'd be so thankful if you would hit that subscription period. It'll be my little picture here in the end credits to show up. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I do like to read all my comments, and it's interesting to hear where you guys are watching from. So I'm here in North Central Texas, where it's, nice and balmy and warm. But anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Until my next video, I hope you have a great day. Bye bye.